Welcome back to the bar. True Force Loneliness number 9. I was going to do this last night, but I had a long day at work yesterday, so I was fucked tired and I had to cook. I had to cook a meal. I cook 7 days a month, so I get Japanese food and I get, you know, um, takeout food, fast food, and then sandwiches 1 week. So I do different things. I think I've said this before. I say a lot of things. So we got some sort of game going on. I don't know what this is all about. It's American football. It's American football with non-political commercials. So sorry, PETA. Sorry, we're not going to promote animals kneeling or taking the knee. Taking the knee, that was fine for Kaepernick, but taking the knee is just it's submitting. Don't submit. Just fight. Fight until you can't fight anymore. No knees, Hail Marys. So anyway, I don't know what's about. It's San Francisco versus Kansas City. My prediction is, well, you know what? San Francisco will lose. Kansas City beats San Francisco by 1 touchdown, okay? That's it. The Chiefs beat the 49ers by 1 touchdown. So, enough about football. I'm not a huge football fan. This is my computer. And on my computer, I create stories. Now, um, we're in the daytime in the bar. Um, because if you're in a bar, you're going to be watching the bowl. You're going to be watching the Super Bowl. I'm not monetizing this video anyway, so I don't really care. That was a Madden picture, by the way, in case most of you were very observant. That was not an actual photograph. It's video games. It's EA, after all. I don't want to owe EA some money. So this is my story called Glory Posers. Now, when you are someone you are lonely. Okay, you have no friends. If you ever see friends, it's once a year, once every few months. It's not planned. Maybe it's spontaneous. You have to write your thoughts down. Do you write diaries? Is that okay? I don't know. Some people could write diaries. Maybe you write a diary where the names and the places, the nouns are not proper, but people learn from your diary. You could do that. What I do here is I write fiction. Now, I've written books for since 2007, and even a little bit. I did comic strips. So technically, I've been doing stories for over 20 years, since maybe 97. And I'm still doing it. I'm trying to come up with a new genre for a book that takes place it takes place in the now, but it's 1980s sort of tribute reference. So this is about a guy and his cat. He's a comic book nerd, and he's got a talking cat, and they're fighting. They're in 3 eras. One is before the devastation, before the apocalypse. One is during the apocalypse, or post-apocalypse, and one is post-life, building life again, like Animal Crossing. It's a video game. You have to look it up. So it's like 3 different tones, 3 different feelings. And I'm experimenting with foreign language and dialogue like I always do. Some of these are based on real people. Like this guy here. I was trying to get a job one time, and I was going to Radio Shack, and the guy would say, "Sales, I'm here to find a job. Sales, do you can I apply? What kind of position? Sales. I don't do sales. Well, then get out of here. Yeah, that's hard. It's hard. It's hard for lonely people to find work. So it's a tough thing. I know it is. It's always a joke. So you volunteer. But what I like about creative writing is that it gets me going. It really does put my creative thoughts out there. Now, you've seen some of my stuff. I'm not going to show you everything right now, but uh, we'll pause it here. There's different tones. Green for one era, gray for another era. I'll show you really quick. This is where I'm at right now, in which there's a battle going on between 2 political groups in the post-apocalypse. So Francisco's playing video game pool. Uh, but yeah, this is a lot of work, and I think it's good to create. I think it's good to put yourself out there in some way. Um, what it does is that it gives you pause. It gives you time to reflect on yourself. Creating characters based on people you meet. I don't like to create characters based on ideal actors. I mean, 90% of authors do this. They like to create, if they could picture Tom Hanks, or Robert De Niro, or Johnny Depp, or Leo DiCaprio, or um, Scarlett Johansson, or Zoe Kravitz, or think of any Margot Robbie. They don't think of the person. You think of the people in your real life, people who hurt you, people who are rude to you, people who fucked you over. What kind of fictional character would you put them in? What kind of character would they be? Would they be despots? Would they be homeless people? Uh, would they be politicians? Would they be lawyers? Would they be chefs? Would they be carnival barkers? Would they be circus performers? Would they be shopping mall or maybe interns at a big corporation? Or would they be con artists? Would they be car salespeople? Car salesman, car saleswoman. It's how you think of the people in your real life and you put them in a story. This is really important for you. So if I could give you a homework assignment, I would say come up with a story that involves you as a character and people you may like as characters. Uh, I guess in True Force Loneliness, there's really not a lot of people you can relate to, but maybe people you admire. And maybe because in real life, you two can't come together. Maybe, like, let's say you have people you tweet with, or people you go on Facebook if you go on Facebook, or people you friend on Instagram. Let's say you can make them into characters, and then you're friends with them. Or maybe there are people in real life who are your enemies. What kind of characters would they be? So it's like the Wizard of Oz, where Dorothy's uncles were the lion, the Tin Man, and the Scarecrow, right? So it's sort of that sort of. If you go with that, you come up with stories. Now the way I write is I use color, and I actually have a sort of a. You can't barely see it, but there's an image in the background uh, to which you can kind of see the tail and the eyes a little bit between the letters and stuff. I use comic book exclamations and such, and I do all kinds of things. So it's an amazing, not a waste of time. Glory posers is what I call them. Francisco and his cat. Francisco looks like a fat Latino with glasses on and goatee and black hair. He talks like this. I like comic books. I like Robotech. Like he talks like any normal Latino nerd you see at Comic Con. He's a nice guy, right? But then he has a talking cat and he wants to be a superhero. And it's like, okay. It's kind of like you think of him as Don Quixote and Panza. So it's kind of like that. I have all. Not every character is mean spirited and vulgar and swears and is a thug. I like to have different kinds of people in my story, in my universe. So it's like Star Wars. You have Jar Jar Binks, and then you have C-3PO, and then you have Han Solo, who's really cool, and then you have Leia, Princess Leia, who's really hot. And then you have Luke, who's the average hero, and then you'll have bounty hunters. You'll have all kinds of things. I mean, all kinds of characters. So this is just what I like to do, and I've been doing this for about 23 years, and we're coming upon the 20th. I'm coming upon the 20th anniversary of when I first created the prototypes of the Outcasters and such that I eventually published in 2007. So I'll get into that with all of you later. That'll be a special post. Um, so yeah, please take the time and write something and see what you come up with. Now, I'm doing I so far when I've been volunteering in my volunteer efforts, which I encourage people to do, if you can volunteer, do something that's true to you. Don't take the first thing that's thrown at you, but um, or if you do it at least once, and then after you hate it, then you can find something you really want. But you got to make mistakes at least once. But it's okay to make mistakes where it's not going to cost you, like Johnny Depp marrying Amber Heard. That was a mistake. She was definitely Heard, wasn't she? You can't care about these actors beyond their their professional life. They're just, I hope he gets out of that, but he's an idiot if he doesn't. Just telling you. But anyway, this is a kanji book. Now, kanji is Chinese Mandarin. So in my volunteer efforts, I am helping people with computers, tech support, which is basically mostly helping seniors. But I can help anybody who has a problem with their Macintosh or their PC, laptop, tablet, phone. I generally help them out. I also do the bookstore, friends of the library, that stuff. But there's going to be a little seminar where I'm going to communicate with people who need to learn English and want to communicate and understand people. So this is a book out of so many books I have in Japanese, though mostly it's Mandarin. But this is Mandarin, but it's I think it's she. Yeah, this is she in Mandarin. So it takes the Chinese pronunciations. Uh, so what does this have to do with loneliness? What makes us lonely is when we talk past each other, when we talk through each other, when we talk against each other. It's very easy, as Joe Rogan said, and as I've said before, that you can misinterpret people's sayings, and you can choose your battles. And some people pick the wrong battles and doing pissing match, piss against each other, piss on each other, shit on each other over what? A tweet, a post? Go fuck yourself. It's not worth it, right? So the best way to communicate to people is to, look at them in the eyes and talk. Now, I'm sitting behind you. Uh, I'm sitting here behind this camera, mostly because my hair doesn't look great. I'm kind of a mess. I do better with shaved head, but that's just me. But you see all these characters here. You see all these Mandarin Chinese characters. Um, Jin Hito. So Hito, like here, Hito up here. Let me see if I can show you better. Um, this one here means person. Hito. You do one stroke like this, like this, like this, like this. So that's how you would write a simple character with two curved lines. And it means Jin Nin. So you have Chinese pronunciations, you have Japanese pronunciations of these words. Because kanji is basically borrowed Chinese and translated to Japanese. There's all kinds of characters. These are all pictures which you're looking at, but it's all complicated because of the way it comes about. Self, body, all kinds of characters. I have kanji book at home. I have vocabulary, communication, greetings. So what I'm going to work on is greetings. I'm going to work on a little bit of vocabulary and basic sentence structure, how to talk to people, how to get to know people. Um, so I'm working on communication. I'm selling books. I'm helping people with computers. I may even do a game night where I hand out games and maybe even do a little bit with people. Who knows? We're not required to play games with the seniors and other people, but I love board games. You know this already, so that's why I would volunteer for that. Um, it's Communication is so important because we lose ourselves. We lose ourselves in our social media. We lose ourselves in our Facebook, with Twitter and Snapchat, TikTok, Reddit. It's very easy to get strung up in one narrative. But the best way to communicate is to know all the narratives. It's not about learning every language. It's about learning how to look at people and talk to people and talk to people with confidence. English is what I know. Español un poquito porque mi padres son idiotas. Uh, ¿Qué puede hacer? No me gusta fútbol americano. Uh, Nihongo de hanashimasu. Hanasemasu. Nihongo o manabi nikui desu. Demo dekimasu. Watashi tashi wa dekimasu. Everybody can learn Japanese and any other language. Uh, I know, is it ASL, how you do your signs. You can do 12. This is 12. 1, 2, 4. Remember, 3 is this. 3 is not this. This is W in sign language. And this is 3 in sign language. Um, so I can't wait to do this. It's on Tuesday. I'm going to be see how that goes. So when you talk to your neighbor, when you start to make friends, and it is okay to make friends, this is the first step towards not being TFL, because eventually we all want to be away from it. It's not about MGTOW. It's not about MGTOW is one facet of it. It's about being able to communicate and redeem yourself through friends and people you want to be with. Because we don't want to be alone. We want to be with people, but we're not going to do it because other people tell us to do it, and we're not going to do it based on ideal values that other people may have, but because we are quote unquote recovering alcoholics, recovering narcotic users. We're trying to get better. So communication is one way to start. And what I'm going to do learning a little bit of Chinese, a little bit of English. It's one way of that 12-step program to being true true embrace friendship, I guess, is the opposite of TFL. Now, it was kind of weird how the events of what happened to Kobe Bryant happened hours after I posted for True Force Loneliness 8. No, I'm not a Kobe fan. I'm not a Lakers fan. I remember Kobe style from the Tom Likas show. We all remember that. I do believe he cheated on his wife. I don't believe he raped anybody. I believe he didn't care. I mean, if you look at Brett Kavanaugh, now I remember his name, Brett Kavanaugh, who was being accused of gang rape on Dr. Christine Blasey, blah, 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 Ford. Um, you know what? Brett Kavanaugh spoke on in the Senate, and he was pissed off. I mean, the man was pissed off. But when you look at Kobe Bryant trying to deny ever having an affair on his wife, he looked like he was in deep shit. He looked like he was defeated. So I know I don't believe it was ever rape, and I believe that he did have an affair. That's my personal opinion. You may have yours, but a little bit of time has passed, not too much time. Um, so something, like I said, I don't know what had happened. He didn't fly the helicopter. Somebody else had flown it. Um, but what I read before was an article where Kobe needed, because Kobe had two bad knees, bad feet, a bad back, he was always in pain. He had arthritis everywhere. That he couldn't drive a car. He couldn't be driven on car trips. The man had to literally basically take a helicopter to go from point A to point B. Now, after what happened to Aaliyah there was too much weight in the plane. Jenny Rivera on her small plane crash, where I think a neighbor of mine said it was because there was someone who wanted to be on her show or wanted to be part of her performance. He was a singer too. He wanted to do a duet, and she said no, so he got revenge by having her killed. I don't know if that's true. If somebody thinks that's true, then you can confirm that in the comments section. But um, after that, it was, uh, it was just the helicopter crash, the Phoenix crash, where two helicopters. It was so stupid. One helicopter hit another helicopter, as though you have a car hitting another car and not paying attention to hitting the tail. I mean, like, this is so stupid. And it's like you were going to hit somebody. And those people died on the air as a woman was talking in Phoenix, Arizona. And that was horrific. And that happened 13 years ago. And then we get to this. And I tweeted something. I said, I will never, ever get into a helicopter, ever, with anybody, unless they're military officers, unless they are police officers. If I'm in a military chopper, if I'm in a sheriff's chopper, a police chopper, that's fine. I will get into a chopper with them because I trust them mostly. But to get into a helicopter with a pilot, maybe he hasn't flown in a year, maybe he's haven't flown in a few months, and he's getting back into it for a couple of days, and oh look, I can fly. See, it's like I never stopped flying. It's like at this there was so many things wrong. There was fog. We had fog on Friday night. I recall Friday night, on the Friday night before the accident. I remember that, just the fog being around, and I was like, that was a lousy time to fly. And I think Kobe's soul, if there is a soul, is crying. Not so much for himself, because if something happened to him, his kids would be okay. But he lost his daughter. And he lost his daughter, and he lost a lot of other people and their kids. And that was a big responsibility on his part. Even though it was the pilot's fault more than it was Kobe. If Kobe was the one that said, hey, let's all go into a helicopter, let's go fly a helicopter, and now 8, 9 people are dead. And what happened? There are things that we are used to. Now, some of you may be Lakers fans and you may be upset that I have a cynical attitude towards this. Some of you may be Kobe fans. I don't mean to hurt your feelings. I honestly don't care about the man or the Lakers. But what I do care about is that the things that we're used to, the things that we're so used to in our lives are suddenly gone. And then it terrifies us how people die. When you see actors or like even like John Denver and JFK Jr. who were flying their own planes. That one baseball player who has a twin brother, he crashed his plane to a building. There are just so many things. My mom once said, you cannot prevent death. Eventually, we all go. You could get hit by a truck, but I don't want to be indignified. I don't want to be stabbed out in an alleyway. I will not have an icicle drop on my head from an airplane 1,000 feet up. I don't want to, slip on a banana peel and fall into a lion's den. That's not. I mean, I don't think anybody wants to die. I would rather die in battle, fighting somebody who was wrong to stand for my principles. I'd rather die that way. At least I would, as Lieutenant Commander Worf would say, dying with honor. I'd rather die with honor. To die in a hospital bed would not be good either, because if I know I'm going, I'd rather just die in a nice place. If you like Disneyland, you'd rather just go to Disneyland and die there. Be kind of weird on people to see you die, but at least you die in the happiest place on earth. So you find your happy place and you go there. Well, this is just sad, man. There's nothing good that comes out of this. So, yes, if you have loved ones, you hug them. But also, too, don't take life for granted. Look every which way. There are some days you need to play it safe, and there are some days you need to take a risk and take the plunge. But to take a plunge like that was not worth it. And if I were Kobe and I were taking a risky helicopter ride like that, I'd rather go by myself with the pilot, taking a long trip across, you know, cities instead of just a short trip. It wasn't worth it. It just wasn't. Thank you for watching. Enjoy the game and the weird, shitty commercials. The bar is now closed.